I'm actually gonna pull this up on my Facebook page right now because I want to see.
You.
Oh, cool!
Oh, it's
Hi.
on. Hey.
I was like, I want to see what you guys are saying on the Facebook page. I'm gonna pull it up anyway, just for fun. So what's up, guys? Hi! It's good to see you. I'm sorry I'm way overdressed for the occasion. We're gonna be going to the Wonder Woman premiere right after this.
Right.
So, and we cannot be late. Like, they're being very strict about it. So we have to leave. So I have to look like Xena the Warrior Princess, which is kind of fitting for this whole series.
Yeah, you've been a warrior. You've fought through. You had some battles.
We went through some battles, as you guys know. So I don't know if you're just joining. If you are, I want to update you. So Matt and I, Matt's my husband, by the way, and he is appearing in the new series It Got Real with me on Clevver Style. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but if you haven't, we really hope that you do and share it with all of your friends because we worked really hard on it. It's a 5-episode docu-series. A lot of you know that I was diagnosed with fibroids a couple of months ago, and those are benign tumors that grow in women's uteruses. Uteruses. Sure, I'm gonna go with that.
Don't know.
But it's so common, like 70% of women get them. And so when I found that out, I thought, you know, maybe I should share this journey with everyone because I had no idea that I had these. I'd never heard of them before. And so I felt really compelled to just share that journey with all of you guys because if you're not a woman and you're watching, or if you are a woman, everybody knows a woman who could be going through this. So I wanted to share that, and we did. So
yeah, and another thing is, as a guy, and from a guy's perspective, I think it is actually important to understand what women's health is about, and maybe even some of the issues, and so you can see symptoms. I think it's actually a lot easier to kind of see that something's wrong when you're not that person. And so Erin actually had a ton of symptoms that we didn't recognize as being a woman's health issue, a woman's health condition, and I saw that she was in pain, and at some point I think we just kind of accepted like this is what how her life is. Like she's got lower back pain and she's got this pain, and that's normal, but it wasn't normal. And I think for me, I felt like I should have probably recognized that a lot sooner. So,
well, to your defense, I do remember like being in a lot of pain and Matt going, "You should go to the doctor. Like, why aren't you going to the doctor?" And I was like, "Well, it's fine. I'm sure it's just I'm getting older. This is what, like, I haven't worked out in a while, so that's probably it. Or I ate something bad. That's probably what it was." And I think just generally as people, as women, we kind of feel this obligation to our jobs and to our families, and we kind of put aside our health sometimes, and that's exactly what I did, which I wouldn't recommend doing because you'll find yourself in a situation where you're in so much pain, and now you have to go. I almost had to do major surgery because I'd waited for so long to address any of these issues. So so that's one of the reasons why we put together this docu-series for you guys. So
we have a lot of comments coming in.
Comments are coming in.
We have a lot of people who are super supportive.
Of course. They've been so nice.
Yeah, you guys have been so wonderful, by the way.
Crazy how sweet everyone's been.
Let's take some questions. This first person, Alyssa, wants to know if you have any plans on having a baby soon.
Oh.
You and my mom, you both had that same question. It's so weird.
And my mom.
When are the babies coming? Well, first of all, we weren't really talking about having kids for a while because I'm so busy, he's so busy in his career. And then when I got diagnosed with these things, and a doctor said, basically, we're going to have to give you major surgery, and then you have about a year, and then you have to start having kids, which was very stressful. Like, no one wants to be told.
It's a small window, and you don't really have control. You can't really plan around it. Yeah, the first option, the myomectomy, the doctor said, yeah, you'll have a 1-year window to get pregnant and have kids. Yeah. And then the symptoms will start coming back. The fibroids will start coming back.
Well, they'll grow more and get bigger. So that was not an option for us because I just don't have time for that. So we have no plans currently. I think it is something that we are going to do eventually, but the timing has to be right. So it's not something, my mother would be so happy if I called her and said I was pregnant. Oh my gosh. She would probably, they live in North Carolina. She would probably fly out here and just start living with me. So
yeah, she would do that.
Okay, Faithy wants to know, how long was the recovery?
Okay, so the recovery was about 10 days. So on the 10th day, I went right back to work again. And I was still a little sore, but I could still get up and move around and do things on my own.
Weren't you at work like the Tuesday after the surgery?
Actually, I did.
Like 3 days later.
You came in on Tuesday, that's right.
No. So I came on Thursday. So it was a week, basically a little over a week, about a week after the surgery. I went on location and shot Beauty Trippin'.
That's right.
Yeah.
And to kind of like nail that down a little bit, the first like 3 to 4 days were a little tougher.
Really hard.
Right? It was like the anesthesia and you're still recovering from all of that. So you're a little loopy, just not feeling like yourself, feeling kind of like a little sickly the first few days.
Yeah.
And then after like the 4th day,
yeah,
you turned and it was from there you had your energy back, she started feeling like herself again. And then it was just kind of getting over the abdominal stuff.
I forgot that I was back to work at Beauty Trippin' after 6 days.
Yeah, she dived right in.
You couldn't even, Matt had to carry your stuff. You couldn't even carry things.
That's
and you wanted to come to work.
I forgot. I think I might have still been on drugs at that point. No, I'm just kidding. Like legal drugs.
I brought her to work. It was like a parent situation. I had to take her to work and carry her stuff because she couldn't carry it.
Yeah, you know what? I was in a lot of pain. It was the episode of Beauty Trippin' where we were getting styled for Coachella.
That's right.
So if you want to go back and watch the Clevver style video, if I don't look alive behind the eyes, now you know why.
Katie wants to know how the pain was after the surgery.
Katie, so okay, the pain, I felt 2 different types of pain. There was the anesthesia pain, which was psychologically painful. If you do some reviews on anesthesia online, a lot of people who come out of anesthesia wake up in just crying, emotionally disturbed, and that's kind of how I felt. I'd never been under. I've never gone under before for anything, so I came out of it kind of in this weird headspace of like depression. I was just crying. I was so upset. You see some of that in the documentary. We didn't really cut too much of that out, but the pain in my stomach was there. It was like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. But I only took Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol. That's all I needed to kind of mitigate the pain. So it could have been a lot worse if I had had a myomectomy where they like slice you open with like a cut about this big.
You would have had major painkillers.
I would have been in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. I would have had like super duper major painkillers. So for me, I just didn't want to deal with any of that. So on a scale of 1 to 10, it was high, but I was able to help it with Tylenol.
And we found out later that the pain actually was coming from a bladder spasm.
I have a little spazzy bladder, just kind of like my mind is spazzy. Also, my bladder is also a little spazzy. And so that was like kind of annoying, but that's so rare and it happens.
It's really rare apparently.
Yeah, very rarely. So I got over that. It took me a while to get over that, actually, a couple weeks. But my overall pain diminished after 6 or so days. I started feeling so much better.
Yeah.
So Erin's a very strong person. Matt, what was it like seeing Erin like kind of really vulnerable and in so much pain?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to see that. It was, she's usually full of energy. She's really very strong, very driven. And so to see her in pain was obviously just like a huge contrast to how I normally see her. But you know, I mean, the thing is, and we're so blessed to have this incredible marriage, but whenever I'm weak, she lifts me up. Whenever she's weak, I lift her up. So, I mean, naturally, I think my reaction was, okay, I've got to, bear her down and lift her up and be there for her and, whatever she needs, do whatever it takes.
It was really sad for me, though, because Matt was, like, literally carrying me to the bathroom and helping me pull my pants down. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in our marriage, we do not use the restroom with the door open.
It's like an unwritten rule.
It is kind of a written rule. I feel like it was in our marriage certificate. I'm pretty sure. So Matt, anytime he accidentally walks in and I'm using the bathroom, he kind of screams very loudly.
There's some barriers. There's some healthy walls that you have and you keep.
The wall's called the bathroom door.
The bathroom door is a wall. It's definitely a wall.
So I'm in my like crazy mental state, feeling so sick and vulnerable. I can't even sit up by myself. Matt's carrying me to the bathroom, and I'm thinking he's gonna be so traumatized because he's gonna have to pull my pants down right now, and he's gonna have to sit here and watch me pee. And he did.
It's going to have to happen.
And he just, I think you might have blocked it out.
There's some exceptions to the rule. There's always some exceptions. This was a special exception to the rule. But yeah, I mean, she, you know, it's abdominal pain, these cuts, so she couldn't lift her legs. She couldn't do anything that took core strength, you know, stabilizing, any of that stuff. So I had to really, you know, lift her legs up to get in and out of bed and sit her up and prop her up. And I mean, it was really debilitating for you.
Poor guy. He slept with me in bed, and I smelled so bad because I didn't change my clothes or my underwear for like 5 days.
Yeah, she couldn't take a shower for a while because the incisions, you don't want to get water in. So.
Which I'm sure she loved because she hates showering, or at least washing her hair.
I hate washing my hair, and I did not wash my hair. No, but I literally didn't change my underwear
She's a shower
for 5
rebel.
days, you guys. I forgot about that. And they were like paper underwear that the hospital gives you. So it was
okay.
It was an interesting time.
Really
I
dark.
have a good question for you, probably because I know way too much about your cycle. Samantha wants to know, have your periods improved?
My periods have improved.
I'll let you take this one, honey.
Thank you. Are you
That was
sure?
for Matt. That question was for Matt. Did I not?
I'll let you take that one.
Yes. So before this, all the production crew in here are so excited for me to answer this question. I would have like a really heavy, intense period for like 7 to 8 days, and I'd bleed a lot, and it was so uncomfortable. Now my period is 3 to 4 days. So, and it's still a little heavy, but not nearly as bad. You guys are all welcome. You're welcome for all that.
And we'll say before, when you would have your period, you have all this lower back pain.
Yeah, poor Matt. He'd
And
have to massage my back
so
every
many back
day.
massages. So
He
many back
hated it.
massages, which it was fine. She's in pain, and you know I did that. But
Yeah, before I got diagnosed with fibroids, he was like, "Is this gonna be like every day of our life? Like I'm gonna rub your
we
back."
did back massages every day.
He was so mad. He was like,
And
"Babe, can I please get a back massage?" He's like, "Yes." He like did not want to do it.
I'm fine with back massages, and you know, but it became like a daily routine for a while because that pain was like so strong.
It was.
Yeah, once we found out it was fibroids, I'll have to admit I was in that area kind of a bad husband. I was like, I don't really want to do this, but once we found out, okay, there's something actually causing this pain, this is serious, this isn't just she wants a back massage every day, then I was like, okay.
The back massages have gone down though.
They have, and so that was a huge thing.
Yeah,
That
I mean, I
was
can
a big
take one
thing.
if you want to give one though, anytime. Just saying.
Yeah, well, it goes both ways.
You've never asked me.
Oh, somebody wants to know what you would have done if you hadn't found Dr. Lee.
So such a scary question. I was definitely considering myomectomy, which is major surgery, and I was really depressed about it. I was like crying a lot, watching a bunch of YouTube videos of like miracles being done in like third world countries. I was like, maybe I should go to a third world country. Maybe somebody could do some sort of prayer routine, and then I'll be healed. Like I was vegan for 3 weeks.
Yeah, we did diet,
which was like really hard because I love cheeseburgers, and I don't know. I would have had to have done myomectomy because eventually, like, there's literally no other option if you want to have kids one day.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why we made this was because doctors. Those are the two traditional options that
Hysterectomy
are
or
accepted in the medical field, and so doctors are telling all these patients these are your two options, and you know that's all you have. You only have one option A or option B. And so when we found this option, it was so life-changing for us. We wanted to make sure that every woman who deals with this could at least find this because we couldn't find it. It took Scott Fowler to find it.
It doesn't come up easy in a Google search.
No,
so I'm
buried.
like, I want to push it up so that women at least know that there's another option out there.
Yeah.
Karen wants to know what made you go to the doctors. I know you talk about how long it had been since you went to the OBGYN in the first episode. Why don't you kind of tie that in?
It was one night we were at a party with a bunch of clever people, and we got home at like 3 a.m, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like my stomach, I felt like the worst gas I'd ever had, but also my back was hurting simultaneously, and I was like, why is my whole abdomen in pain? Matt gave me a back massage at 3 a.m. He's like, I want to go to bed. I'm like,
another back massage. But to give some context, one of her biggest fibroids was on the lower back side of her uterus. And so it was sitting on a whole bed of nerve endings that were in her lower back. So that's why she had all this lower back pain.
Yeah. So as soon as it kind of reached that point of like, oh no, this pain is unbearable, that's when I went to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Izzy wants to know who was there for you the most. And I mean, Avi, it was me, but you can go ahead. And
Well,
answer
I
the
will
question.
say,
Oh, hold on. Can we give a shout out to Izzy?
Izzy. Oh, Matt wants to give a shout out to Izzy. How cute.
Izzy, we, in every, I think, evening at
Every evening.
about 10 or so at night, I think when it's like morning time in the UK, we just get buzzed. We get Izzy notifications right about the time we're getting ready for bed.
Matt will
So
go,
it's
is that
almost-
Izzy?
It's like clockwork. It's like the sun is going to rise the next morning. So
Yeah, I know Izzy's going to be messaging me.
Izzy's reaching out.
Who was there for me the most? A lot of people at Clevver were really great. I do have to say Lauren, though. I mean, I know she's here. I don't want to, like, call her out and make her uncomfortable, but she delivered some cocktails to my house.
And some food.
And some snacks
Some
that
snacks.
that were, like, my saving grace through the surgery.
Have you guys opened the tequila yet?
No, it's actually
It's
I
time.
It's
feel like
time.
you guys need to come
It's
over and have some drinks with us.
That's
but
right. Yeah, one of the other things is she couldn't have any alcohol
No.
after the procedures, so she hasn't been able to celebrate in a while.
Well, I mean, I've been drinking a little bit, but just responsibly.
Yeah, we need to uncork that.
Seems like a lot of people want to know how many kids you guys want.
Oh, how many kids?
How
Ooh,
many
gosh,
kids?
this is
Oh,
like-
man. I
Well,
think
is my
that's like-
mom on this chat. Is
I
she?
think you decide when you're going to have kids, and then you decide how many kids. I think it's in that order.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know how I'll like being pregnant. I don't know. I think that I guess the goal is 2. Matt and I both have siblings. And that's kind of a nice number. I don't think 3 is a nice number. I
And
think
we both have one sibling, so that's a comfort zone.
let's go with 2.
2?
Let's go with 2.
2?
I like where that sounds.
A
The
boy and a
one
girl?
person for each of us to grab hold of.
Yeah, I've heard that once you have 3 kids, that's when your world just is chaos, because then you can't hold on to them with. You've got one for each hand, and one that's just wreaking havoc.
But now they have leashes, so maybe
You
that
do
will
have
help.
leashes. You do have leashes.
Okay, this is a good question from Kaylee. How does it feel knowing that you're opening so many doors for women and are really changing the world for the better?
Well, it's so crazy because that's what I wanted to do with this show. And of course, we shot it that way and very educational and inspirational. But I wasn't sure that it would resonate that way with people because you just never know how the internet's going to react to something like this. So to see your comments in the comment section and get all of your messages on Twitter and on Instagram, it was really overwhelming. I mean, Matt and I share stories. He'll screen grab comments in the comments sometimes and text it to me all day about like people sharing their stories, and it's been really special. And I feel like for me, I've always said this, I never knew what I was going to be when I grow up. I guess I still don't. But for me, I wanted to be successful in whatever I did. But I wanted to use that platform, whatever that looked like, in order to do something really good for people. And so this was like a huge opportunity to be able to do that. Because for me, like, what is it all worth? Like, what's the money worth? What's the fame worth? What's the likes worth? If at the end of the day, you're not helping anyone. And for me, I feel like this was one of the first things I could do that really impacted a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think we rarely get a chance to have something that's so directly impacting like this show was.
Yeah.
So it's a rare opportunity, and something, I mean, I can speak that a little bit, something that I love about Erin, and it's who she is. She wants to, kind of her motivation to work really hard and be really good at what she does is to really expand her influence to impact people positively. And I think that's so rare in the entertainment industry. I think a lot of people have different motivations to prove something or to look at me, but Erin's always been that way. She's always wanted to just expand her reach so she can really impact people, and that's something I love about her. That's one of the reasons why I married her in the first place. She's so giving, and that's just who she is. So this was really a reflection of who she really is and what she really wants to do.
Yeah, it was like one of the first times I've been able to be 100% myself and be really honest about who I am and what was really going on with me, I think.
Okay, Anna wants to know, will you have to go back to the doctor to get the fibroids treated again?
Anna, great question. So when he heats up the fibroid tumor with that Asst needle, it kills the blood supply. So just think of it as that tumor is dead forever, and it will eventually shrink down like a raisin, and my body will end up reabsorbing it somehow. And so that tumor will never, ever, 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 ever come back again. If my body decides to make more, of course, I might have to go back and have the surgery again. But the Asst procedure is really cool because the technology that he uses can kill a fibroid that's like the size of the head of a pin. So even the tiniest itty bitty ones that were already kind of starting to grow, he was able to kill those as well. So the goal is unless something crazy happened, and things do happen sometimes, but Dr. Lee is the inventor of this procedure. He's the best at it. So he feels really confident that I'm never, ever, ever going to have to go back again.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons, another reason why we chose that is because a myomectomy, again, you have like 1-2 years window to have children because they'll come back. With Asst, it's a lot larger because they can get the small ones. So it's like 7, 8, 9, 10 years. The window is a lot larger.
Yeah.
So it just gives you a little more control again over your life and making that decision.
Kristen wants to know, will you both be more vigilant with your health and get annual checkups with your primary care physician?
I, for one,
will
get so many women's health checkups.
Your wife is sitting right here on the couch. That's a little awkward.
I think it's, if we're opening up.
I definitely will be going to the OBGYN because I have to, obviously, at this point in the game. Matt probably won't be going with me.
Yeah, I may not make a return visit.
Yeah, because he went to the OBGYN with me. I think he's a little traumatized, but...
it honestly wasn't that uncomfortable. But, I was needed for these visits. I may not be needed for the next ones.
Right, because I'm going to be 100% healthy.
That's right.
Kyla wants to know, do you know what causes or caused your fibroids?
So, the cause of fibroids is pretty unknown. A lot of people have linked it back to estrogen. But my doctor has actually found that it's progestin that causes them to grow. Some women have it in their family, so it's genetic, and mine was not genetic. No one in my family that I know of has them. So you just never know what it is. And sometimes if you're on birth control, it helps. Sometimes if you're off birth control, it helps. And so every woman's fibroids are different. So you can't really know. So I guess what I'm trying to say is live your life to the fullest, not in fear of fibroids, because if you're going to get them, you're going to get them. And
we'll say too, this isn't hormone related, but the diet thing.
Yeah.
That was so big. Like there's like tentative kind of evidence that your diet can help keep fibroids from growing, but it's shaky at best. And
here's the thing: once you have tumors that are causing you pain, they're at the size that changing your diet is not going to take them away. I think living a healthy diet is going to help you, generally speaking. So
be healthy, but don't like put yourself through this torturous diet because you think you're helping the fibroids.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Kathy wants to know, is this procedure available anywhere else, like in Canada?
Kathy, great question.
Good
I'm
question.
not sure, but if you want to reach out to Dr. Lee, if you go to the videos on Clevver Styles YouTube channel, I have a link to Dr. Lee's website. Click it, reach out to him. He said he's ready to take any questions from any viewer about doctors in their area who do perform the procedure. I know there are some doctors in Germany who do it, so I feel confident that if he doesn't have someone in Canada, that someone in Canada soon will have it available. So reach out to him. He's answering your questions in the comments in the videos. He's very accessible, and he wants to help all of you guys if you have any questions.
Yeah, and he does a lot of teaching. He actually does some teaching at UCLA at a college here in Los Angeles. And so he's a great teacher, great communicator, as you could see in the video. He just does a great job breaking things down. So he's willing and very good at answering questions. So please ask him.
Yeah. Okay, a question for Matt. Alyssa wants to know,
only easy ones.
What was on your mind when you first heard that she had fibroids and after the procedure to treat the fibroids?
On my mind when I first found out she had fibroids. So it was interesting because in the emergency room, there actually was a moment that I didn't tell Erin about, but I just kind of saw in passing this, one of the doctors that diagnosed her was really concerned, and she was actually talking with another physician and said, I think she may have to get a hysterectomy. There's a lot of them, they're really big. And that freaked me out a little bit, and I knew she was already freaked out, so I actually didn't tell her that immediately. And just because I knew what she was going through, I didn't want to add to that. I wanted to talk to an OBGYN first. But yeah, I mean, look, there's so many emotions that run through your mind when you feel like, okay, you're not going to be able to have children, but I think you process those and you figure out, okay, I may not have control over that, like naturally having children, but there's adoption, there's a bunch of different ways you can actually have children, if that's what you want. and outside of the natural way. And at the end of the day, her health is the most important thing. So it really, I think when you have a traumatizing something like this happen, it really puts your priorities into perspective, and you realize, she's my first priority. So her health is what matters. I just wanted to make sure she was healthy. So after kind of processing it all, that was my number one.
Sophie wants to know, was it constant pain all year round or pain just during your periods?
It was constant pain. It wasn't like 24/7. So I would go maybe 4 or 5 hours and I'd feel okay. And then I'd have like a random cramp and I'd have to like excuse myself and go to the bathroom and just like sit there until it passes. At night it was the worst after a long day. Because I wasn't moving around. So when my body got still and I'd lay down, it would really start to hurt me. But during my periods, it was like, I don't know, I feel like I was living in a living hell. But when my period was over, it was manageable. And it was just, maybe 2 or 3 times a day.
This is a good question. Selena wants to know, do other doctors really not know about this procedure, or are they purposefully leaving it out as an option?
So this is complicated.
Tricky question.
And Dr.
Good
Lee,
question.
It's good. Dr. Lee hinted at it's a little complicated.
Yeah.
You want to give the first?
Yeah, so the medical industry is a business, and doctors get paid when they do procedures on people that are approved by insurance. If insurance covers a hysterectomy, then doctors will tend to do a hysterectomy over not, because they're guaranteed they're going to make money off that procedure. If a procedure isn't covered under insurance, it's a little harder for doctors and facilities to make money off of that procedure.
Right.
So they tend to not really offer that as an option. And so, unfortunately, the way our healthcare system is, if it's not covered under insurance, doctors don't love to provide it.
Yeah, they're not incentivized to learn how to do it. They're not incentivized to really research cutting edge procedures, because if they're not covered by insurance, it's a lot harder for them to get paid. So it's a return on investment kind of situation. And a lot of them aren't, they're not, because they're not incentivized, they're not doing that cutting edge research. They just think in their mind, this is my toolbox, I've got these 2 options, and this is what I work with. And so Dr. Lee's unique because he actually decided these aren't acceptable options, and he went out and actually created a new option.
Yeah. And so a lot of doctors also don't know about it as well. So there's both. But I do think a lot of doctors are not willing to also take the risk, right, and learn a new procedure that they weren't trained in medical school.
Yeah.
It is a little bit riskier for them to take on a new procedure, and this procedure takes someone who's very skilled at it to do.
Yeah, so altogether, it's not like you can cast blame on any one person or any one party. It's a really complex situation where there's many causes, but the infrastructure, the way it's set up, does not lend itself towards supporting cutting-edge procedures that are really more helpful, more beneficial for women.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, so that you knew that it was out there.
That's right.
Jimmy wants to know how you found Dr. Lee.
Scott Fowler, who competed against me on The Amazing Race. Blair Fowler is a big YouTuber. I don't know if you guys follow her or not, but her dad was on the race with her. Yep. And he's a doctor, and he's an attorney, and he's a pilot. He's kind of like a genius. And when I was diagnosed with this, I called him first thing, and I was like, listen, can you help me? Is there any other option that I don't know about? He did some research, and then he found Dr. Lee, actually. And he's never met Dr. Lee. He's never done this procedure, and he wasn't sure about it. He was like, listen, I can't put a stamp of approval on this, but I think it's in Beverly Hills. You should go talk to the guy. Maybe he'll give you some information that's helpful. And so Dr. Lee spent 3 hours with us during our first visit, just giving us all the information, answered every single question that we had. And so I'm so thankful for Scott.
Yeah, we wouldn't have found it without Scott.
No.
So without his resources and him putting effort in to find him.
Yeah.
A couple people have asked, I don't know if you want to answer this, but they're wondering if the surgery was expensive, if it was economically challenging.
So the surgery isn't cheap. It's not something that, it's not a Forever 21 price tag. But it is, kind of an investment in your future. And I know that, preserving your eggs is pretty pricey. It's like $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000. Getting a surrogate is that much or more. you know, those are other options that we were going to have to end up considering down the road anyway. So for me, you know, the procedure is, you know, several $1,000s, depending on how you want to approach it. And Dr. Lee can help you do like a payment plan and the whole thing. But it's up to you, I guess, to decide how much it's going to be once you talk to him. But, you know, I felt like cutting into my uterus, bloody surgery, being out of work for 4 to 6 weeks, that was a big price tag. Like I wasn't, you know, could have possibly not been able to make money during that time. So, to me, it was worth it.
There's a lot of considerations.
To me, it like balanced itself out.
And all the risks that we talked about in the documentary.
Yeah, to me, it was actually a better deal when you consider all the factors.
Yeah.
And then what made you avoid going to the doctor for so long? Not even like for the pain, but even just to do a checkup? Well,
I am so busy. I'm always working, and I just...
It wasn't an avoidance.
It wasn't. I wasn't afraid. It's just like not a fun thing that you put at the top of your priority list.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I just was busy, and I just kept putting it off. And then before you know it, like 4 or 5 years pass, and you haven't gone. And that's really why. There's no real reason. I just was lazy, and not lazy, I just neglected it.
It just wasn't a top priority. And I think, I mean, and that's another reason why we did the documentary, is because, you know, I think it takes you having like a traumatic experience for you to make it a priority, for something for it to, I don't know, light a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're hoping that, you know, women can see this and kind of have that traumatic experience just by watching this and learn from what Erin's gone through and make that a priority.
Next season, I'm going to the dentist because it's been a minute as well.
Was it hard to keep this away from the internet?
No, because we shot this pretty quickly. Once I knew I had fibroids and I knew I wanted to tell this story, it was kind of a matter of weeks of sitting down with people at Clevver, my bosses, and my boss's boss to get approval, to get a budget, to shoot this, to hire a team.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I could get this done, I did.
But what about the pain? Because talk about how you concealed the fact that you were in pain for so long.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Oftentimes when people see you a certain way, they can't unsee you that way. And I'm hyper aware of that for a number of different reasons, but I felt like telling people that I was dealing with an illness and was in pain all the time would cause people to look at me differently, that it would keep me from having opportunities that I wanted to do. So I didn't want to tell people because I just didn't want it to make me look weak, because I think, especially being a woman in this business, you have to look strong even when you don't feel strong sometimes. And some of that was pressure I put on myself. Like, no one was putting that pressure on me, but I think psychologically I just did that to myself because I didn't want people to think that I couldn't do something. So, and also it's kind of like a Debbie Downer. You're like, hey, how's your weekend? And you're like, great, I was bleeding and was in pain and crawled up in a bowl and cried all weekend. And the person's like,
good talk.
Awesome, I gotta get back to work. See you next time. So it just wasn't, it's not a fun thing to talk about. And so I just didn't.
Do you feel like after a while you kind of numb yourself to complaining, or it's just like it became a part of your routine?
Yeah, it was just kind of like a...
It's like you're normal almost.
Yeah.
It just became like, again, like we thought for a long time, like this is just how she is. You kind of deal with it. And that was of course the wrong thing. You never, if you're in pain, go get it checked out. But yeah, you just kind of accepted that for a while.
Yeah.
Kaylee wants to know, she has chronic pain as well, and she's wondering if there are other small things that she could do to help the pain other than having a husband named Matt who gives you back rubs.
Well, you gotta find a Matt that gives you back rubs every day.
Find a support system, if not back rubs.
I don't know. I don't know if you're living in chronic pain, if you should just live in chronic pain. I'm assuming that you've seen a doctor. I think you should see a doctor if you haven't. Yeah. I would assume that they have better recommendations for dealing with pain. I know that working out for some people helps. For me, it didn't really help. I was doing back therapy for a long time because I thought I had a bulging disc in my back, and that actually did help, the therapy. but I couldn't run. I couldn't work out really hardcore just because it actually hurt. The tumors hurt inside of me.
Yeah.
So
I think this is a good thread. We actually was kind of misdiagnosed a little bit. Like we thought it was a bulging disc only, and so we were doing back therapy for her, and that really, it was helping kind of in the short term, but the pain kept coming back. So it is, I mean, go see your OBGYN, but then also see other doctors. I mean, you need to really be active and kind of doing the diligence and researching and figuring it out. Don't just settle for, oh, this is just, I'm going to be in pain.
Gianna wants to know what fibroids are made up of. She's really confused on how they form.
So fibroids are
moon dust. Foreign substance.
They're cells that are normal cells that grow and exist in your body.
Yep. And
just something tells them to, I don't know if metastasize is the word, but to kind of clump together. No, that's not the word. That's not? No. Yeah, well, you're my wordsmith, so you can figure it out. But they start to just clump together, and it becomes just these kind of like tissue balls.
Amalgamate?
Yeah, that's a good one. I knew you'd help
me. But the tissue is, what's interesting about them is they're really hard. And so that's why they cause pain. It's not only that they're there and they're crowding everything else, but they're really hard.
Yeah.
And so they like smash against everything else. And so it's like her nerve endings were getting crushed by these fibroids because they're actually really hard. And once Dr. Lee performs the assessor procedure and kills them, the first thing that happens is the tissue is still there, but it softens immediately when it dies. So it gets really soft, and then the pain almost instantaneously goes away because it's no longer smashing against everything else.
Yeah, I immediately had zero back pain after the surgery.
It's really quick.
First time in 5 years.
How big was your biggest fibroid? Did he tell you?
I think he said it was over 8 centimeters.
We had different. There was between 8 and 10 centimeters.
There was one that was kind of like a hand. You measure it like by like diameter, but like this one was like
it was like a hand that was like trying to grab her fertility. It was awful.
It was gross. It was like a hand, like a fist, with all these different extensions on it. So it's hard to say like how big that was in size, but it literally was about the size of a fist or a softball, maybe a little smaller than a softball.
What was it like seeing your surgery with those tools in your stomach? Like it was like an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh.
He was wrenching that thing around, getting those fibroids.
The inside of you.
It was so weird, you guys. So I executive produced the show, so I'm going through the footage and I have to put on my business hat, you know, like this is a show, this is not me personally, and I felt really confident that I could separate the two things. And then I sit down and I'm like about to click on the footage, and I had this overwhelming sense of fear. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen the inside of me. How am I going to do this? And I was sweating, and it was really hard.
Like, she doesn't like belly buttons, so this was like the next level.
I have a fear of belly buttons. I don't like to touch them, to touch my own, to touch other people's, to have them touch mine, to even clean mine.
So it's like she saw the inside of the belly button almost.
It was gross. We actually cut around the stuff that was kind of hard to look at. What you guys saw was kind of the PG-ish version, but it was real hard. I also saw a lot of fat in there.
That was pretty weird when you like shook.
The fat shakedown.
What was that?
It was apparently it's normal. I was maybe.
I wish
maybe
I
that's
could
all
shake
the in and out
fat like that. I wish it was that easy. You just shimmy it right
off. It just falls down.
And then when it came off, it kind of looked like, I don't know, like chicken skin.
Yeah,
or something.
it looked like raw chicken.
Oh, gross. But that was apparently on your uterus. There's like a fatty layer that covers it, I guess, to protect it and insulate it. God does really cool stuff like that, but
we don't really know why.
It was real ugly to look at.
Priscilla wants to know, can you give any tips for people about to go to the OBGYN for the first time? Like what to expect?
So tip number 1, don't be scared if it's a guy. Most of my OBGYNs have all been guys, and I feel like a lot of times guys take it more seriously than women do sometimes because they don't have the hardware. So I think they work extra hard to like figure out what the hardware is and how it feels. That's just been my experience.
This is just a personal experience opinion.
She asked a personal question to me. This is my experience.
Okay.
Also, if you're on your period, don't cancel your appointment. I think that's kind of one thing that I used to always do, and that's one of the reasons why I put this off, because I'm like, oh crap, I'm on my period. I gotta cancel my appointment. With technology now, doctors honestly don't care, and they can go in and do a pap smear, and your results can filter through the blood in the lab. So Don't cancel because you're on your period. They don't care. They also don't care if you're shaved or waxed. They really don't care. And yeah, that's just kind of a tip.
It's all business. And it's really fast. I was surprised how fast it was.
Oh, another tip. I love this tip. Wear a dress. So that way you don't have to feel like you're so vulnerable when you spread your legs open like that.
That's a great tip.
That's what I do when you go get waxed or whatever. I just like to wear like a full dress up top that I just hike the skirt up and then I can put it down as fast as possible.
That's a great tip. I actually am going to the OBGYN tomorrow and I will implement it then.
You are? It's a great tip. Also, a lot of people worry about the smells. A doctor has once told me that it's the smell of the feet that is the worst. They're like, don't worry about the smell of that. The feet smell the worst. So try to like not have sticky feet for your doctor.
Extra consideration. Bonus tip.
Insert
bonus
the more
tip.
you know graphics here.
Bonus tip. Pro tip.
I'm going to butcher this person's name. Swarsy said, I passed out watching the episode that was the actual surgery.
Oh, is it Saoirse maybe? Maybe.
You haven't read it, honey. You're guessing.
I don't know, but that sounds like what Saoirse.
It wasn't really a question, but it was a very interesting comment.
Oh.
Okay.
You almost passed out. That's sad. I'm so sorry, but there is a viewer discretion.
There's a disclaimer on there
because I was looking out for you
graphic.
guys.
It's graphic.
Kind of graphic.
I almost passed out too. It didn't even look like your real skin. I can't get over him putting that hole in your stomach and just yanking it around.
I know. Well, he expanded my stomach with air,
Yeah.
so that he could get to it. So that was the other thing. It kind of looked like a dome.
It looked like a, what's that called? A fake body?
Oh, like
Cadaver.
A cadaver.
Yeah.
That's a real body.
Cadaver.
That's a real body.
Right.
Dead.
Dead real body.
Okay. What are you, a doctor?
Also,
I did pre-med.
yeah, we both did.
You both did.
We both did pre-med. So.
Which is so silly that I didn't go to the doctor, and I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life. So that's kind of sad.
Somebody wants to know, what did you say when you came out of anesthesia? Do you remember?
Actually, there was a quote that was not included.
It was too silly.
It was silly, so it kind of took away from the
I
seriousness.
honestly don't really remember this.
I think I remember.
So I'll share it because I remember. I was right there, front and center. So she comes out, and everyone's like, "How are you doing?" You know, trying to communicate, get some line of communication
But my eyes
going.
were closed.
Yeah, they were closed. And the first thing I think you said, she said, "Did he catch them all?" And like, yeah, she's talking about fibroids. Yeah, he got them all. He got them all. And she says, "Did he get a Pikachu?"
Yeah, she catch them all. Did he get a Pikachu?
And then she said something about Asht Ketchum, so she was like naming characters from Pokemon, which is so funny because you know like nothing about.
I dressed up as a Charmander, but that's all I know. Like I wouldn't know Pikachu if it slapped me in the face right now.
So she just like that was her subconscious. It just went right to Pokemon. So I don't know.
I don't know. It was really
We don't know.
weird.
But
Maybe I'm a
that
closeted
happened.
like Pikachu Pokemon fan.
You were late.
All right. Well, I know you guys have a premiere to get to.
Yeah,
So
we're leaving for the Wonder Woman premiere in just a few minutes. So if you guys have any last minute questions,
Last minute burning questions.
like, you gotta know.
is burning an inappropriate word to use?
Yeah, it's actually very relevant because he burns
Yeah,
them.
that's right.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to just talk about how you've been feeling? Like are you completely back to normal?
Yeah.
In your incision area.
So I have a little itty bitty scar. It's already almost healed up completely. It's about this big, and it's on my bikini line, and that's it. My belly's still a little, like my body still has these tumors in it. They're just soft. So I'm ready for them to completely go away so I can get back into my bikini and feel good again. But as far as how I feel awesome. I can do everything that I couldn't do before. I sleep better. I feel better. I look better.
I'll say her energy is a lot better. It's like she used to come home from work, and because basically this blood supply is going to these fibroids, it's almost like she has a child inside of her. So her energy level was so low. So when she would come back from work, we had 0 evenings together because she'd come back and just crash. And at one point I was like, "Oh, let's go out for just like, I don't know, burgers or something." And she got upset with me. She's like, "I can't go out and do anything." But it was just because she was so exhausted. These things were zapping her energy. So one of the first things we noticed, her energy just came back.
Yeah.
And it's like, now we can go on dates. So we can like actually spend time together, and she can enjoy herself because she has her energy back.
Yeah. So I feel a lot better, and I'm just going to keep feeling more better. More and more better.
Better.
And my first period was a little rough because my uterus is a little sore, and it was like, you know, just like any normal uterus does, it kind of like moves. So that was not my favorite time, but ever since then.
We were at a wedding and it just hit.
Yeah.
We're on the dance floor.
Like,
actually.
We have to go home right now.
We gotta go.
Yeah, but other than that, it's been great. I feel amazing. I want to encourage anybody who's in pain and living in pain to really try to find a way to research someone to find an option for you, because living in pain was not fun. It wasn't good for my mental health. And I feel like it did long-term damage to my mental health. Like, I'm still trying to get over being like victimized by this thing. And so if you feel bad and you feel sick, please just go get some help and you know, talk to people about it, because you're not alone. So many of us are dealing with it. And
yeah, and if you have a friend or a family member who's also just going through pain, talks about being in pain, don't just accept that as okay and, oh, they're dealing with that, that's their problem. Really encourage them to take action as well.
Yeah, so it's been a journey, you guys. I really appreciate you all watching and commenting and messaging, and I hope that this helped you guys, helped answer some questions that you have, and continue to comment in the comment section. I'll try to go back through and answer any questions that I think we didn't get to today, because I really want to help you guys. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I really want to kind of like at least guide you in the right direction if you have any questions. And also let us know what you thought of the series, too. We worked really hard. We had an all-female crew.
Oh, yeah, talk about the crew.
They're amazing. Let's talk about the crew. And all the guys in the room were like annoyed that they didn't get called for this project, because they get called for everything else. And it wasn't because they aren't amazing, because they are. But, you know, you're going into the OBGYN with me. I kind of wanted, like, all ladies in the room. And they were really awesome. And they shot it like it was a TV show. I mean, it felt like nothing we've ever done before. And so shout out to all those amazing ladies in my crew who simultaneously were all going through some serious stuff medically themselves, which I thought was really interesting.
That's right.
They were all going through some like surgeries. Like, one of the folks that I used ended up having major surgery 2 days after mine, but she wanted to tell this story, and so it was
really important to them.
Yeah, and so all the women on the project, I think, all felt like inspired and encouraged through it. So it was really incredible. Such a great experience. And I said this in the series, and I'll say it to finish this out. I think that fibroids suck, and I don't really think that there is a reason that people have fibroids, but I do think that part of the reason why this kind of happened was so that I could help people. And if it helps one of you or two of you or three of you or 500 of you, then that was worth it to me, and I'd walk through it one more time just so I could tell the story for you guys. So thank you all so much for watching and for being nice to Matt. He's not only on camera.
And this isn't my job.
If they haven't finished watching, where could they go to see it?
So if great question. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on Clevver Styles' YouTube channel. We have a playlist there. It's called It Got Real, and all the episodes are there. There are 5 episodes. They're only about 10 minutes long. So I would encourage you, if you haven't seen it, please check it out, and also share it with all the women in your life, because chances are they might be dealing with the same thing. Yeah,
70 to 80% of women get this condition, and if not this condition, there's endometriosis or other women's health issues. So definitely share it with the women in your life, and I think we can spread this impact and help a lot of people.
You've been such an advocate for women's health, honey. You just turned into this spokesperson for women. I'm really proud of you.
Oh well, I mean, it's been a wild ride. You learn a lot. I think when you're in it, you just have to learn it, and it's a big deal. I mean, so many people deal with this, so.
All right, guys.
Well, thank you both so much for answering all these questions. If you're still listening, make sure that you like Clevver's Facebook so that you get alerts when we go live and do these awesome things. And leave some more comments, and Erin will go through and make sure that she replies.
I'm going to go through and reply to you guys. So love you all so much. Thank you all again.
All right. We will see you all later.
Bye, guys.
See you on the social medias.
Click left to go inside my OBGYN visit, or right to see me make one of the biggest decisions of my life. For more information on women's health, visit womenshealth.gov.